I got to go out and get it if I'm going to win, right? And by any means necessary. And when you take that mentality somewhere else where there's more resources, you're going to be able to thrive. Like it's mandatory right now that my business is using AI. Any business you're in. I scaled 3 different businesses to 7 figures in revenue, and one of them I scaled with just 2 full-time employees. Right, I brother 10 lions and 100 sheep, and that mentality is now where you have to be if you're running an organization, because less is more. Nobody owes you anything either. Like you can't have a sense of entitlement. Nobody owes you their dollar. Nobody owes you their business, right? You have to earn that.
In a world where algorithms tell us what to think, entrepreneurship forces independent thought again. It restores judgment, decision-making, and ownership. Some entrepreneurs build businesses, a few build ecosystems, but only the rare ones redefine the playing field. Jeff Asuji is one of these rare people. A founder who didn't wait for permission, didn't follow a blueprint, and refused the limits handed to him. He took a simple idea and built something bigger, driven by clarity, creation, and agency. Welcome to the Alpha Renaissance with Jeff Asuji.
Jeff, how are you?
Doing great, brother. How are you today?
Excellent. Is that a good explanation?
Yeah. We're event discovery and entertainment platform. We're going beyond ticketing, but that's definitely a good start to what we do. So appreciate you.
It's not just ticketing, right?
Oh yeah. No, ticketing, marketing, event discovery, activations for brands. So we're taking a step beyond, but definitely a core foundation of what we started off as a ticketing platform. So.
Is that kind of like where things are going, where people, they want an all-inclusive experience, right? They don't just want to show up to a performance or to a party or whatever. Like they want kind of to be involved in a community.
Definitely. I mean, for us, it was all about building community from the beginning. People are demanding more of consumer products. They're demanding more from experiences. The experience economy is booming. People are wanting to be able to connect with their friends, want to be able to, event organizers want to get more support, right? They're looking for more than just event platforms or event partners. And as the experience economy continues to grow, there's more and more opportunities to really add value and extract value from that ecosystem. So we're looking at how we can connect folks from point A to point B and introduce more and more value add opportunities for event organizers, experience lovers, and then anybody looking to connect to them as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. That's quite a vision that you guys have. How did you get there? Were you always a business guy? Like, did business always give you some type of meaning?
I like to think that I was. I was always somebody that valued people first. And I also was somebody that understood the value of time. So I remember being a kid at like 5, 6 years old, and probably around 7, 8 years old, and paying my younger brother to do the dishes in the house. And I was like, man, I really hate doing dishes. I'll clean up, but if I could outsource this piece, I could spend more time doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I always have been somebody that's understood business, valued business, always been ambitious, always wanted more out of life. Growing up, with not too many means, we weren't necessarily poor, but we definitely didn't have everything we wanted. And for me, being able to grow up with wants, just really pushed me to understand business at an early age and understand the need to build something that you can own, something that you can leverage to add value and build a life that you want so you can provide.
Yeah. It's something about either being extremely poor, right? Or being like okay, but still with a lot of yearnings and desires for more. Yeah. Typically it's more things, but oftentimes it's not just that, right? It's more experiences, it's what have you. What do you think it is about being at that space? Because oftentimes many of our friends that are, let's say, well off, sometimes, not all the time, sometimes there's something missing there.
Yeah. You gotta have that bite, man. I think that you don't get it if you're given everything that you want in life. I think there's a lot of other cultures and a lot of people in general, are getting it right now in terms of even if they have something, to making sure that they control how much they're giving to their kids. My parents were really good at saying no. If we wanted shoes, if we wanted the newest clothes, they gave us what we needed. Never skipped a meal. We all pretty heavy set folks. We never skipped a meal.
Yeah.
But we got the necessities, right?
Yeah.
I didn't get my first pair of mics until my second pair of mics until I brought my own as an adult. My first pair got stolen at Chuck E. Cheese, and we went straight to Payless. Straight to Payless. I'm walking around Payless parking lot in socks, and I'm in some generics for the rest of the year.
Dunks? Was it Shaq on it?
It might have been some Shaqs with some street lights. I think it was the street lights with the fake street lights. But for me, not having what I wanted as a kid, especially when you get to high school, and it's all about a fashion show, right? And if you're in public school, especially if you're in Chicago, if you're not looking right, you're gonna get heated. And for me, it was really about like understanding that, okay, well, we don't have money for food, but we don't have money for the extra stuff. Yeah. And so if you want the extra stuff, you got to go out and work for it. Yeah. So as a kid, I'm shoveling snow. I'm working at Wrigley Field, helping park cars. I had 2-3 jobs at all times. And so I learned that the harder I worked, it wouldn't have kept me out of trouble, but also allowed me to buy things that I wanted. Yeah. So for me, I've always been a businessman. I've always loved engaging with people. And for me, it was nothing better than having a day where you work super hard. You're able to fill your pockets,
Yeah. It's weird. I had another guest on earlier, and I said the same thing. I didn't, we didn't have a lot of money, right? We ate every day, but we didn't have a lot of money. And I remember one of the best victories I ever had was when I was able to buy my own pair of Air Force Ones.
Man, that'll do it.
That was
right?
And that was
small
I
things.
think I was, I had been like 17.
Small things, man.
Yeah, small things. And it was from I had this one of these whack jobs at like a restaurant, and that was the first thing. The first thing I bought was those Air Force Ones, the high tops with the silver swoosh, and like the strap hanging. You know what I'm talking about?
Man, I remember making $5.15. I know exactly what you're talking about too. But
$5.15.
I make a $5.15 at Novelty Golf in Skokie. I'd take a long bus trip at the work. My brother Larry, shout out to him, man. We were sweeping the floors, and we were, oh my gosh, $5.15, man. We made it work. We made it count.
Yeah, I remember $5.15.
Yeah, we could afford
minimum
just to buy
wage.
academic sweatsuits for the house parties. And eventually, I got a job at a high school. I'm sorry, at the mall, and man, alive, and that changed my life because we were just buying clothes. That's all we wanted as kids. But again, working those hours, and my parents made it clear: if you want, we're gonna give you everything you need. But if you want something extra, you're going to have to go out and earn it.
You have to get it yourself.
Yep. So, and that bought me my independence. When I was able to pay for what I wanted, I was able to stay out a little bit later. I was able to, I got my independence. And so, I've always been somebody that really enjoyed value exchange, business, and then the fruits of your labor, right? Enjoying that. If you work hard, I had a lot of friends doing other things that weren't necessarily something you could be proud of. And for me, I felt proud going to work and being able to pay for my own stuff.
Yeah, I think when you grow up in a city, right, you interact with all types of kids coming from different backgrounds. The schools are mixed often, right? Different socioeconomic backgrounds, different ethnic backgrounds, and you get exposed to just quite a different, let's say, alternative ways of living.
Oh yeah.
So that was, I'm sure for you, especially you came from a different background. Your parents did it, right?
Yeah.
So your parents are from Nigeria.
Yeah, both parents from Nigeria. I'm Shigerian. Born and raised in Chicago. Parents came here from Nigeria, and the Nigerian culture was always been big on hard work ethic. Yeah, always instilled that to me early, being excellent, and also pride. It was certain times. You had free lunch or discount lunch, and you looked at your friends who had the good juice boxes and the good gushers and snacks, and you're going to eat the dry cardboard pizza. You're like, man, but we always had our head up. We always are proud of who we were. And for me, seeing that from those folks who might have been doing a little bit better than us, right? They didn't have 5 kids like we did. It made me want, right? It made me desire to compete and to go out there, get good grades, and put myself in a position where I could just do what I wanted, And so I had a great childhood, and again, growing up in that diverse experience allowed me to see so many different things. See how they treated certain kids different. See whose parents were involved in the actual school, and whether it was chaperoning, and how they were to leverage politics to make sure that kids were in a good position, and who would get in trouble. So I really thank my parents. Whenever I would get in trouble, which is a lot, my pops would come up to the school. Yeah, my pops would come up to the school. I was always one or two black males in class, and somehow I was always considered the problem child, but also a leader. I remember 5th grade, my teacher sat me down and said, look, I need you and another girl named Ashley. I need you to talk to these kids. They only listen to you guys. Tell them to behave, So I established leadership early. And my pops and my parents were always really supportive of me. So
What do we see so much of a renaissance of Nigerian culture, wherever Nigeria is going, Nigerians are making things happen. I mean, it could be South Africa, it could be London, it could be here in the States. Nigeria is having a moment.
100%.
And I always think that a lot of times when you see someone having a group having a renaissance, it's always reflected in arts as well. Like arts are like the last thing but it comes, right? So you can have the scientists, you can have the engineers, but when it starts to come into the arts, you start to really feel like, okay, these people are having a moment, right? You see that right now with just the music scene in Nigeria. Like it's just insane. What is it about Nigerian culture or Nigerian culture right now where it is having that moment? Or do you think it's even having a moment?
You know, it's definitely having a moment. I think we're having a moment for a while, and I think that it's really comes down to a few things about Nigerian people. We've learned to do a lot with less. I think that when you're in any situation or in a country where you've been able to come out of that country, right? Just to being able to get out of a place that you might love and call home, but to go and set your foot out, and it's the whole immigrant story is that when you leave to another country, you see the opportunities that you might not have had back home.
Totally.
And you work hard to take full advantage of those, right? You see those opportunities and you identify them and you do your best to accomplish. Now, the world is now paying attention to us through Afro beats. They pay attention to our swagger. Our social media has allowed us the whole world to see the greatness, whether it's beyond dancing, right? To see the story of Africa that has not been told in a mainstream way for years, right? And so people are seeing the beauty of Africa, the culture, the arts, the intellect. I think we've seen the intellect for years.
Yeah.
But there's just this appreciation because of the fact I believe that the whole story is now being told, right? The youngest community in the world, right? The youngest population is in Africa.
Yes.
And Nigeria in particular, being the most populous country in Africa, everybody's been touched, in America or any other, my cousin's in Ireland. I got cousins in Ireland, I got cousins in the UK, Scotland, right? Any country you go, you're gonna see Nigerians because we're gonna pick up and go get it, right? And so the world is now seeing that we're an amazing, brilliant people, the most educated people in the world, but also we've always been great at embracing any place we're at, right? And so I think our impact's being seen in more ways than one, whether you look at medicine, whether you look at Afro beats and what Burna Boy and Davido are doing, whether you look at fashion, what people like Ugo Mosey are doing. And so we just have this mindset that you have to be better than the next person next to you. There's competition in schools. You have to have the best grades. I think that served us well.
I think a lot of immigrants, wherever they come from, when they come to this country, it's like if you love candy, it's an unlimited supply here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In America. And I know however people may feel about, the US and the country and where it's going and where it's at, but the truth is it's nothing that can even compete with what America has to offer. Yeah. And so when you come from a place where it's Nigeria is highly competitive.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The largest population in Africa, I believe, right?
Yep. Largest population in Africa, largest country, and it's the size of Texas, but has well over 100 million folks.
Yeah, 100 million folks.
Well over 100 million, and so maybe close to 170.
I think it's more than that because I know Egypt has like 100 million.
Yeah, close to 170 or so. I'll double check, but definitely the size of Texas, right?
Yeah.
But when you think about it, and if you're there, and I felt the same thing when I was in Mumbai, India. When you have so many people and you have resources that have been extracted from a country, there's limited resources, right? Totally. You have way more people battling for those resources, and so you have no choice but to get it. And you feel the energy when you land in Lagos. You feel the pressure, the intensity. Where it's like, look, I got to go out and get it if I'm going to win, right? And by any means necessary. And when you take that mentality somewhere else where there's more resources, you're going to be able to thrive. And to your point, with everything that America has going on, it's still a place where if you work hard, despite the hardships, despite the obstacles, you can attain that American dream. I believe it's still achievable, right?
Yeah.
Despite more and more pressures pushing down on that and pushing against that, it's still a place where you can win if you're, depending on what winning looks like to you, but you can build a nice life for your family if you work hard.
Yeah, it's very resilient country, and the excitement, the enthusiasm here is unlike in any other places because people actually believe they have a chance.
I think, and one of my mentors says, outworking the person next to you is, I think, easier than it's ever been before. I think that technology's done a great job of helping us be more efficient, but it's also made a lot of people lazy. And I think that if hard work ethic has been instilled in you, now more than ever, it's easier to set yourself apart from people. I think, America's a country where if you work hard, we really value that.
No,
we work hard. I was in Europe, last year, and we work really hard, especially compared to other countries.
Oh man, Europeans,
they
don't know what work is. It's like the laziest group of people on earth, man. Look, my wife is European, so I talk trash about them. Okay,
ain't no siestas here, ain't no siestas.
No siestas,
right? We're working nonstop, and it's a part of our culture.
Yeah.
And I think that if you have, and if you go across the different borders, you got different type of work, folks on their feet all day.
Yeah, and by the way, my wife is not lazy.
Good correction, brother. Good correction.
Little correction. But yeah, work culture, when you go to these other places, I'm like, how do these people have any purpose or meaning? Because in America, so much of who we are, especially as men, is tied up in our work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so like when you go to a place where it's functions, civilization is functioning, like they have all the things that, a developed country have. But like that hustle isn't there. It's a little actually quaint when you're there, because you're like, okay, what are you guys doing? That's how Europe feels, but up there.
Yeah, a good place. I think depending on where you are, but especially when we're on vacation, usually when we're there. But it's definitely a different type of work, man.
Yeah,
and I think it's of value. As you get older, you realize that work is important. Working smartest is even more important than working hard, and especially as you build a family. You want to try to figure out some type of balance. But I think that, I actually like the way they look at work to a certain extent, because you gotta take a break.
Yeah.
You got to be able to take a break, and it's important that you rest aggressively. That's one thing I learned the past year.
Yeah. It's
just important that you work hard, is that you rest aggressively. And so I'm not sure that's something, women are still getting 3 to 6 months off. If that, for when they have children, and you got some folks getting a whole year off in some places. So
it's different, right? It's different concerns.
Yeah, it's pros and cons.
It's pros and cons. Like we're hyper materialistic in the States, right? I mean, everything, you get it quick, you get it how you want, you get as much as you want, like that's what we do, right? But you go to I call it the old world. You cross the Atlantic, whether you're in Africa or Europe or Asia, it's the old world, even though lots is very modern. Yeah. But the philosophy is old world philosophy, right?
Yep. And I think having that mixture of both and exposure of both does put people ahead of your people who have just been in one place their whole life. Yeah. I think that's why you see a lot of Nigerian immigrants thriving, and a lot of light on Africa right now. So when Ghana's not still in our light, because they're doing a really good job with the return, and then all the marketing that they're doing, the tourism. I mean,
great marketing,
amazing place as well, West Africa, and I'm glad that the world's seeing that you have to be international nowadays.
Yeah, and that these places are nodes on the international, universal Silk Road. It doesn't necessarily lead to China. It's just nonstop. It's just expansive, and it's a circle. It's going around the world.
The days of just thinking America's the center of the world and that's it, I think are over. You know? I think that if you're looking to thrive, you have to be able to touch other land. You have to be able to have exposure. You have to have an international mindset. Right? You're seeing economies shifting. You're seeing currencies shifting. Alliances shifting. It's important to get out there and have exposure to how other people.
Yeah, there are some growing pains to that as well, right? Where Americans were used to going to places and we just did whatever we want. The doors, the carpet was rolled out. Now
you got folks get locked up.
Yeah.
Now you got folks getting locked up for years for a little bit of bud. So yeah, I mean, you got to watch how you roll when you're in some of these places. When I hear these stories about folks getting locked up for doing stupid stuff, you got to remember everybody doesn't roll how we roll.
Yeah, they don't. It's a different, and the tolerance that other countries have.
Respect the soil we at.
Exactly. We have a higher tolerance for many things.
100%.
We value personal freedom, and that it's not always the same everywhere.
Yeah, we starting to see that here too. So we starting to see that here too, man. So yeah, it's 100% a lot of liberties that we do enjoy here that you don't have elsewhere, and certain things that people just aren't going to rock with, and we can't bring that mindset to other places.
Well, going back, how old were you when you realized you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
I want to say it was about 18 years old.
18.
Right? Yeah. Around 18, by then I had been working a few different jobs, and I was just really inspired by the folks who were friends of mine whose parents ran businesses. They seemed to be doing pretty well, but I was always someone that got in trouble because I didn't like taking direction, and I knew that eventually I had to get grades to get out of my parents' house, and when I went to college at 18. I saw my friends whose parents dropped them off in Benzes and Lexuses and Beamers, and I would ask what their parents did. And a lot of times, whether it was lawyers, judges, but a lot of flyers whips for folks whose parents were entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I also sold Air Force Ones my freshman year with my college roommate Dre, and we were like, man, we can't just work in the cafeteria all day. We got to do something on the side.
Yeah.
And I just realized that I just really valued owning my time.
Yeah.
And so I knew by 18, and by 19, I started a business on campus, hosting events and experiences, bringing people together. And I knew that at that point that, especially once I shadowed a doctor and saw blood, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna finish this chemistry degree because I'm not a quitter, and I enjoy, really exercising my critical thinking skills. But I know that I have to go into business and I got to work for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you go into business because you wanted to work for yourself because you couldn't work for anybody else?
Well, that was part of it. That was a part of it. I did research, and I realized that the two highest paid people were CEOs and salespeople, right? And I research studies kind of stuck in my head. And I really enjoyed the freedom of hosting my own events. So I got fired from the campus lunchroom, you know what I'm saying, the cafeteria. I got fired because I had finals, and I think you couldn't miss 2 shifts during finals week, otherwise you got fired. So I was already, pissed. I'm over here going to school and I got to work. And I'm working in the cafeteria. I'm saying I didn't like the uniform. And when they fired me for missing 2 shifts during finals, I'm like, man, I got to figure something else out.
Yeah.
And I started throwing my own experiences at events through a company called Pyramid. And I go from the chemistry lab to parties that I host with like 800 people. This place called the Canopy Club. And there was no better feeling to me than being on that Canopy stage down at U of I, University of Illinois, be 800 folks. You put together experience, 800 people show up, and you walk away with a profit. And so I was taking trips to Jamaica during college, a spring break, and trips from doing something I love, which is bringing people together.
Yeah.
And so knowing that you could do something you love and make money off of it was a game changer for me. Then working in my chemistry lab under a PhD, award-winning researcher, Dr. Neil Kelleher, he's currently at Northwestern. I worked in his genomics lab, didn't understand anything about genomics, didn't understand anything about proteomics and proteins, but I learned a little bit. But what was most fascinating to me was the fact that his whole staff and research lab, $1 million research lab, was funded by grants.
Yes.
He was not a doctor, but he was working in clinical and research and getting $1 million grants to be able to support his research. And that's that business of science and healthcare and just how that intersected was really fascinating to me. So
yeah, it's something you hear people that go into, like I went, to health fields, right? Like people go into teaching or social work, and a lot of times their reason is they want to help people, right? But then you kind of start to figure out, like when you go into those fields, the people that are funding it are capitalists.
100%.
They're entrepreneurs. They're people with cash.
People forget that it takes resources oftentimes and finances to be able to help people, right? I know when you can't just start a business. Oftentimes you'll need a line of credit. You can try to bootstrap, but you go further if you have more resources. So yeah, unfortunately it takes money to make money a lot of times. And a lot of times that money may come from the government, may come from investors, but you have to understand the business behind that allows you to succeed. So
yeah, that's an interesting journey. So you didn't find meaning in the lab and as a chemist.
Well, I found meeting, but I didn't enjoy it as much, right? I got my chemistry degree because it challenged me, and I was like, I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna get this degree, right?
Yeah.
I'm already not doing pre-med. If you're Nigerian and you're supposed to be a doctor or a lawyer, like I can't go home a failure. Let me at least get this chemistry degree and finish it out. So I finished the degree, and then immediately decided to apply for an MBA as opposed to applying for medical school.
Yeah.
The reason being is I already knew I wanted to run my own business. Like I said, I've never been great at taking direction. It was a reason I used to get straight A's or honor roll, but then I get check marks for pays attention, listens. Something about somebody telling me, giving me direction and telling me what to do when I didn't want to do it really irked me to this day.
Yeah.
I tell my wife, look, if you want me to wash the dishes, just, suggest it. Don't give me a command. I just never responded well to it.
Yeah.
So I know I wasn't the most, fall in line type of guy. And I just am more motivated when I'm doing things that I enjoy, and two, when I'm bringing my dreams to life. I think one of the most powerful things that God has given us is the ability to manifest our dreams and ideas and go from ideation to execution. And so that's always fascinating me, the fact that you can have an idea and then next thing you know, it's come to life. And for me, experiences in hosting events was that. I had ideas and me and my partner would have these different themes for events. And then 3 months later, it will come to life. We bring people together. Everybody loved it. We walked away with some money. And I'm like, wow, I could do this for forever. And so I learned marketing. I learned the importance of leveraging data and activating data. And so for me, I knew that after that, I was like, let me just get this MBA. It's 2008. My chemistry major friends are making $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
Working in a wet lab. It's not the future I want to get into.
Yeah.
So I applied, I got an MBA 2 years, and learned more about business management, marketing. Took an internship in LA as opposed to a full-time job because the market was rough, but also just to learn and see, did I want to go into science or did I want to go into business and lifestyle space with the events I was doing? And I realized that while I found a lot of meaning in what I was doing that summer, made a lot of great connections, I still wanted to make sure that I was living my purpose, which is improving the quality of life in my community through health, wealth, and leisure. And so I went to work actually for a health startup because I felt like I wanted to make sure that I could, one, work under a CEO, and then two, also have a real positive impact on my community while learning how to be a good businessman. So,
yeah, interesting. Did you feel like the MBA actually helped you?
100%. When you don't,
many people will feel.
Yeah.
I mean, Elon Musk. I mean, he thinks that MBA is crap, right? Yeah. So many people will say that they're like, you don't need an MBA.
Yeah, you don't. I think today you don't need one. I think there's much more access to information, and people are more accessible. I think LinkedIn had just started popping back then, and for me, I just simply was not mature enough to go out into the workforce yet, and I knew that. I was enjoying myself in college. I was running a business. I did 5 years, and I knew at the time the job I wanted was going to be there. And so for me, it's like, okay, either go learn some more, right, and I had never taken business classes, mind you. And so I knew I needed to get a stronger business background if this is what I wanted to do. So for me, at the time, the MBA was a necessity. Yeah. I was the youngest person in my MBA class, me and my guy, Eric. And for me, it was an opportunity for me to learn business, get a core foundation of business, two, learn how to really connect and network the right way. And three, also give me 2 more years to mature so that I could actually really apply the principle I learned to my existing entertainment business, and then look for opportunities while I did that. So I think an MBA is amazing if you don't have a business background.
Yeah. I mean, that took a lot of self-awareness for you to actually realize, like, actually, I need a little more time.
Hey, spreadsheets, man, if you don't understand numbers,
yeah,
you're trying to run a business. Like, I feel for all the dentists and doctors that start their own practice. My wife started her practice. And so my wife has her own medical dental practice, right? And so for her, having never worked with spreadsheets and done accounting, right, you're speaking a whole nother language. And most people that run their own businesses find out what a P&L is after they've run their business, right? So it's very important to understand your numbers. And for me, I got that background from the MBA.
Yeah, I had a dentist on who's excellent. He started quite a few businesses, and his main thing is you have to educate yourself as a doctor in order to be successful. You have to educate yourself on those like rudimentary business concepts, spreadsheets, numbers,
marketing.
The marketing. I mean, huge. These are things that typically clinicians are just clueless about.
Yeah, my wife went to the number one dental school in Michigan. I'm gonna brag on my baby real quick, but what she said is that I didn't know dentistry was all about sales.
Yeah,
right.
She thought it was just fixing teeth.
You got to be able to touch people the right way, right? You got to be able to, rub people the right way and build relationships with your patients in order to keep them.
Yeah,
sales.
You were also very, very early on. You were able to recognize that you need to do something with longevity, right? Yeah. You needed to find a way to monetize and actually commoditize yourself. You enjoy bringing people together. Yeah. When did you notice that there was a specific niche that you could feel a gap in bringing people together that in the market that you identified?
Great question. For me, when I looked at where I was at, There was a situation that happened at my college, my university. They canceled the hip hop night because there was, athletes were getting into it with the locals on campus. And so this is something that happens a lot at college campuses, right? You clash with, you might clash with folks who aren't necessarily at the school, but are coming to the school.
Yeah.
Right. But at my school, what's unique about the University of Illinois is that, historically we have a strong tie to the community. But we had kids, you 18, 19, folks are clashing, fighting, right? And so they canceled hip hop night, which is a huge blow to the community because a lot of black students want to go out and listen to hip hop, and we had nowhere to go. And for us, I was able to fill a void and start hosting events specifically that cater to hip hop music, and everybody loved hip hop music, so I have other folks come too. But I realized that I became that go-to person even after college, where folks would go to DC, New York, Atlanta, and they ask me, man, where can I go to listen to this good music, have a good time? And I'm like, well, folks are still asking me this 5 to 10 years after college.
Yeah.
Clearly the general market platforms that are out there aren't doing a good job of helping people find their, preferred experiences, right? And so I ended up focusing on, black culture-centric experiences first, and started Event Noir simply to connect folks to those types of experiences, again, where folks can be in spaces and places where they're celebrated, not just tolerated. That's how we started off. And then we found quickly, after expanding over 52 markets over the last few years, that there's other preferences people have as well, right? Some people, not everybody wants to go to the club now, right? Some people looking to go out and find people they can do yoga with, right? Yeah. And people that they can, a lot of people aren't even drinking. And so for us, it's about learning more and more about our consumers and getting suggestions to them for places where they can go, because sometimes going out is therapy. Going out with your friends is therapy. Sitting and talking with your people and connecting can get you the job, the wife you want. So for me, I understood that if this community is being neglected, let me figure out how to service them better than the other platforms are doing. Yeah. And especially with the African-American consumer that's oftentimes neglected or feels taken advantage of by brands and folks that are just being transactional, right? When a brand says, hey, I see you, I love you, I'm saying I'm looking to serve you, you're gonna get a good response. So we were able to benefit from a lot of early support from folks who said, oh man, they see me. And I think for us, it's about better events, right, for folks who are looking for diverse cultural experiences.
Man, you mentioned like something that, happens a lot, right, in terms of, you have events where people come and they act a fool, right? They clown, they get into fights. And a lot of times especially in the entertainment scene, it's difficult, and not just entertainment. I mean, we could talk about consumer issues, stores. Yeah. It's difficult to get those services to the black community because of those concerns, right? It's difficult to have events, and shows to come to certain areas because of those concerns. Yeah. And you seem to have found a way to work around that. What's your secret?
Well, for me, I own a bar with some of my best friends called Hugh Chicago in the South Loop. And I also have hosted events for 20 years. And so I've always looked to cater to that crowd that's looking to have a good time and not, act a fool. So we are always very, very specific about dress codes early on, specific about who we're marketing to, because you might not be the problem, your cousin might be the problem. And your cousin's not the person that you need to bring out. Yeah. So I've always been big on I've had to invest in heavy security. I've had to invest in, making sure that there's folks enforcing the dress code. I've also invested in marketing and build an audience that understands that, hey, when you go to this event, you go to Just event, act right. I have folks that I talk to that are my friends and say, hey, look, if you have an issue, bring it to me. I think it's responsible for every event host that be responsible for your people as much as you can. And so I've done a couple of things, because another reason I started Event Noir was because that once people found out that I was black, they would actually increase the bar minimum, which is understandable for folks who have had issues, right? But if you're just seeing, oh man, I'm catering doctors and lawyers, and I'm being treated like this. So for me, I've always done a couple of things. I've invested more in security, right? I've implemented a dress code, which a lot of people don't like dress codes. I love them. I feel like when you look good and you feel good, you're gonna have a good time. And so I've always implemented dress codes. And on top of that, I've always been very cognizant about who's coming out. Yeah, I'm staying in touch with people. Hey, look, this is the code. These are the rules for the day, right? Yeah. This is how you act. I think when you treat people with respect, they also give respect.
I think dress codes are big. I mean, if my rule is, if you have to ask about the dress code probably don't belong there.
That's how I feel. I mean,
And that's good. That's
yeah.
okay, because it might not be a place where you'll feel comfortable.
Yeah, and post-pandemic, I know people are dressing down. I don't put on a suit as much as I used to, right? I was at a conference just a couple weeks ago, and I had my gym shoes on, my sneakers on with my suit, which is my style now. But look, you feel damn good when you get dressed up. I was at a Jeezy concert just a couple weeks ago, and at TM101 20th anniversary, and seeing everybody dressed in black tie, and you could tell it was old school trappers and hustlers, but everybody looked damn good, glowed up. And so it was you just feel good when you dress up. And so for me, I'm a big advocate of dress codes and implement them across the board. Now, just be fair and make sure that you treat everybody the same way and everybody has to enforce a dress code. But it's helped me a lot.
Yeah. I know that's like just such a critical like pressure point when it comes to your business, especially, the crowd that is sometimes perceived that you cater to, right? Because people may perceive, right, like these things can happen in spaces, let's be honest, where like black people come and hang out and have a good time. You get some like bad apples that come there that shouldn't be there, don't know how to behave, don't know anything about dressing. They wouldn't know how to, they wouldn't own a suit, they wouldn't own a jacket, they wouldn't own even a collar shirt. I mean, a lot of times, right? Somehow those individuals get into the spaces and it has a domino effect for everyone.
It could be one person making a bad decision that can ruin somebody's business for years, right? We have bad apples in every culture, but we have seen that in our community that it is an issue. I don't want to shy away from it. Like, folks don't want to act like it's real. There's a real issue right now with the music, the life imitating art, all right, and in some cases art imitating life. But there's a real issue with violence right now, all right? And it's been going on, but it's a real issue that can ruin businesses. And I've seen businesses close. I've seen a story of, okay, mainstream bar, business is down, let me cater to this hip hop audience. Okay, great, they're having some party, they spend money. Ooh, I could even increase the prices because they used to spending more and popping bottles. The bar's going well. Oh man, everybody knows about it now in the community.
Yeah.
Oh man, okay. Everybody's coming. Oh man, we can't control this. Bam. Somebody that shouldn't be here gets up in here, gets around here, has a problem with somebody. And unfortunately, violence is a real issue in America. And an incident happens, and now that place is shut down. They lose their license. And so it's a real thing, man. It's we have to be in a position where we can teach our young men emotional intelligence, vulnerability, to love each other, our sisters too. All right. And so we know there's a number of factors that played a role in why we are where we are, but I would love to bring that community and culture back as much as possible. And so I'm doing more experiences around, we just hosted a health and wellness seminar, but emotional intelligence, the ability for us to be able to say, look, oh, that man stepped on my shoes. Oh, this man is my brother, let me not do anything wrong to him, is something that we got to work on. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, in events, one bad apple can ruin a business and somebody's reputation in the event industry for years. So invest in security.
I had a guest on a show, psychologists, who had a crazy experience with suicide, right? Basically, 12 of her friends within her friends group, I should say, committed suicide.
Together or different times?
Different times, different spaces, they committed suicide. And it kind of blew my mind because I was thinking, would that have happened 15 years, 20 years, 20 years ago before you have social media? Right. Only reason I bring it up is because one of her explanations for why this happened was the amplification with technology.
Oh yeah.
Right. The amplification of seeing your friends go through this, being able to commiserate together and form these online communities about basically anything about suicide. Right. And it might not be an official online community, but everyone is kind of learning and going through shock together, and then coping, then also mimicking this behavior, which then leads them to commit the same acts, right? And you see this amplification too in your world, right, where someone observes the behavior in one of these spaces where we're celebrating culture, but someone has absorbed some negative behavior somewhere, and they didn't act on it, and then they ruin it for everyone else. And you see it, and a lot of times it's the young men, right, trying to prove themselves. And it's something for me that I've always had a lot of questions about, because if you're spending your time, right, being aggressive in the space, ruining the space for everybody else, right, that could be some time that you're using to do whatever. But the fact that you don't lets me know that your role models, where you're taking your examples from how to behave, they're not there.
100%.
And it's not a thing. It's not just like this. It's not just like particularly like this community or like Black community. It's kind of across the board now. Where, I mean, even if you look at this shooter, the shooter for Charlie Kirk, right? It's a young man. It's like, what are they? Where are young men picking up these cues for this really aggressive antisocial behavior?
Man, well, number one, we know it's more guns than ever now in America. It's more guns. I think it's more guns than we need in America, whether it's the good guys or the bad guys. You know, you don't see this type of shootings in other countries, just don't have as many guns. But when we talk about social media, you talk about the amplification of messaging, whether it's negative or positive, but you're getting hit with it every single day, right? I don't know why some of the stuff comes up on my algorithm that I see, but it's a lot of defamation, a lot of degradation, a lot of violence, right? And you're seeing this nonstop, and so it's training your mind. You're becoming desensitized to violence. You're becoming desensitized to somebody slapping somebody. And so it's about what you're feeding your mind. It's so important. I think that social media is made so that you can literally be on your phone all day and feed your mind garbage and feed your mind aggression. Not to mention, of course, everybody needing a positive role model in their life. Again, for me, a big reason why we started my company was that I wanted to step away from just hosting my own experiences, but more supporting event organizers on how to scale, on how to move right to make sure they can have longevity. There was a year where we had a really successful year hosting events and experiences and traveled across the country. I'm like, this is the right way to do it. A lot of event organizers are doing this the wrong way. They're not making the money they should be making. They're not negotiating the right deals. They're having one incident ruin their whole reputation. And so for me, you know, I step back from hosting these experiences because a lot of stress I had to deal with. It was a thankless job. And I wanted to build a scalable platform to help support folks like me who felt helpless at times. And so, but the violence piece that social media is real. You got to filter out what you're feeding your mind. And my kids, I know, they're not going to be able to be on their phone all day. They got to have filters, because you now can literally watch death, destruction, violence 24/7. Your phone without being turned off.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing too, right? Like, it's not, the screens are only getting worse. I mean, the AI sunglasses, right? I mean, we are only the more wearables, we're only becoming more engrossed into the screens.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really tricky, like, as a parent to, okay, how are we going to limit negative interactions with the screen? Also, like, the kids' world is going to be on the screen. Like, that's their world. Right. So, like, how do you, we're trying to figure out how do we just, like, limit the time, but also give them quality time that's going to be constructive for their future, which is a tough one.
One, I want to shout out to my pops. One of the best days he ever did with us is we couldn't watch TV Monday through Thursday, right? So when we got schoolwork to do, there's no TV, right? No screen time. Now, I sneak out sometimes. I play football. I get in trouble. Couldn't go out, though, usually. Couldn't watch football. I mean, couldn't watch TV. Cutting out that screen time is so necessary. It allows you to train your mind, learn how to interact with people. Because another problem that you're seeing is that as people are on their phones all day, they forget how to interact with people. Yeah. Nowadays, you can't have an honest conversation with folks like you could, because folks don't know how to talk with each other anymore, right? You can't call somebody up and have a direct conversation, because so much of your conversations are happening through DM and through social media, where there's no consequences for crazy comments and saying anything you want to people. People forgot that there's real consequences in the world when you and also forgot how to communicate. So one thing I'm going to make sure I instill in my kids is that you got to cut that screen time off. Even now, me and my wife agreed, look, Fridays we cutting out the phones, we spending time together, right? Yeah. There's numerous studies that show how screen time causes dysregulation in children. Totally. Right? You see them temper tantrums. I've seen in my son, we don't let him watch TV anymore. Like, we don't watch TV right now. Yeah. Because you'll see that.
A big one.
Yep. It's like, you'll see them become dysregulated when you turn off their phone. So it's definitely, I love the Cocoa Melons, I love the Baby Sharks, but if you're watching that stuff all day, right, and it's they know what they're doing with the.
It's ads.
It's ads. They know what they're doing. They know how to draw those kids in. or the kids will just be, zombies. And so being able to interact with people is the best thing in business. If you're starting a business, people pay millions of dollars to manage people, because they know how to deal with people.
Yeah.
And what you're finding is people who don't know how to communicate. And I see this in the job force. I see this where life is a series of pressure situations, and you see these people who can't communicate in pressure situations. And one thing I'm really, really pride myself on is ability and comfortability to have an uncomfortable conversation at any given time.
Yeah.
And when you want to be a leader and you want to manage people, you have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable conversation, which means you got to learn how to interact with people. And if you're building a business or you're in sales, you understand, nonverbal communications. And you can't do that when you're on screen all day, when you're not interacting with people.
Yeah, that's the fear that I see for a lot of people that are, so the generation that just goes straight to artificial intelligence, right? Like they can ask ChatGPT any question, it gives them an answer. They don't know how to code, it can code, it can create a launch site, a landing page for them, whatever they want, right? But it's something about getting the lesson from the skills that actually get you to that point of expertise. That's where you really learn, right?
It's something about human emotion and human interaction that can't be replicated. And AI is here to stay. It's transforming the world in front of us. People that know how to use it are going to win. But there's still no replacement for human interaction. Sitting in front of another man, look at a man in his eye and let him know, hey, I mean business.
Yeah.
Being able to tell this guy is bullshitting you or not, right? Those are things that AI can't be used to replicate. Authenticity, right? Being able to hug somebody that you love, right? Being able to really just interact with somebody. Those are things that AI can't replicate, but it's going to replicate a lot of things. You see, the jobs are falling. People are being more and more efficient. But what I want to say is that human interaction, that has to survive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like being an entrepreneur and even having to raise capital, right?
Yeah.
You're raising capital people that you don't know.
Yeah.
I've had situations where I could tell that the Zoom interaction wasn't going to do it. The Zoom interaction was cool. He's still filling me out.
Yeah.
I've had to pull up to cities and say, look, hey, let's have lunch. Let's meet for 20. I met with somebody for 10 minutes, right? Just to let them know I'm very serious, right? But also I need you to look me in my eyes and tell how serious I am about my business and about making sure that I'm taking care of your money. Right?
And you're interviewing them as well.
100%.
It works both ways.
100%. So AI is transforming every industry, right? Now's the time to get rich off of it. If you can't build a solution that's going to save people time, make people more money. But yeah, there's going to be certain things that cannot be replicated no matter what.
Yeah. Are you seeing it in your work, in your endeavors?
100%. I've gotten to the point where I've had to, put money to the side, reallocate, cut people so I could just have a strong investment in AI and my technology.
Yeah.
I sat down for 2.5 hours with my technology advisor, talk about the product roadmap for what we're building now, because there's no way that I can't leverage AI and what I'm doing to provide a better user experience. And it's no longer an option. Like it's mandatory right now that my business is using AI. Any business you're in.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm seeing it transform just with regards to providing better recommendations, right? Yeah. If you look at Netflix, you look at Amazon, a lot of their revenue and a lot of their user experience is based upon personalized recommendations. People don't want to see an ad for a tampon if I'm a man, right?
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to watch an ad about football if I hate football. And people are now demanding personalization and personalized experiences and to be catered to. It's happening in the experience economy where people want to be treated better, right? They want to make sure that everything they're seeing is something they care about, and it's going to be based upon their data. And it's also, for me, UX, the user experience, and cutting down the number of steps to checkout, right? That's important. By connecting people to experiences that they want based upon what you know about them is a huge part of what we're focusing on now. And in any industry that you're in, making sure that you're saving time, you're getting rid of waste by leveraging predictive analytics, leveraging the data that you've collected to better understand your consumers. It's no longer an option because there's somebody else working to leverage AI to make sure they're providing a better experience for your customer. And customers don't always choose the best product. They generally choose the best experience. That's something I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I've seen that you can't even pay people to go through a bad experience with your product, right?
Interesting. What do you mean by that?
Especially in the experience economy, right? There's a lot of businesses out here and most platforms actually will charge you, right? One thing that's unique about Venoir is that we came out the gate saying, look, we're going to pay you to use our service. We provide incentives and commissions to event organizers that are making thousands of dollars, right? But you always get to a certain point with the customer where they're saying, look, this is what I wanted, it's non-negotiable, right? And that one thing is a user experience that's one of the products easy to use. The checkout is faster, and they understand that these are the types of events that I want to see. And so you can reach a point as a founder where you're looking to reach product market fit, where you can get customers, but unless you're providing the best experience out there, you're going to lose to whoever's providing the best experience most of the time. And so, like I said, you can't even, and I've seen situations where folks will get offered a sponsorship or get offered incentives, and people just be like, hey, look, you know what? I'm really rocking with this experience right now, and I'm good, because they're switching costs with any solution, right? Yeah. And so I've seen that, and that's where technology and investing in your product is the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, and then that's how the transformation happens, right? The technology is out there, right? This is how you get the new industrial revolution. The technology is invented. People see the technology. These people are consumers. They want the technology in their experience. Also, one of the side effects of this technology is that, hey, you may not need all of the same positions that you have in your company. 100%. Slowly slashed away, because that's what the market is saying they want. They want the integration of the chat in their iPhone and in their experience when they're talking to support, for Event Noir or what have you. Like, that becomes just kind of ingrained into what the expectations are.
Yeah. Reducing friction, right? People want as much friction removed from the consumer experience as possible. And we're unfortunately and fortunately in a space where AI can automate a lot of tasks that people are doing that we're probably getting, paid less than they should have anyway. But it's definitely taking jobs, because there's certain experiences and workers whose whole purpose was to remove friction.
Yes.
And with automation, predictive analytics, with chatbots, agents, they can do a lot of work with these folks. They can do a lot of work with 10 people. Yeah. Right. And so, you're seeing jobs being slashed. You're seeing workforce reductions. You're seeing salaries being cut. And you're also seeing more and more people being leveraged that are offshore as well. Yeah. And so it means that if you are in the job market, or you're here working for a company, you have to leverage AI to make sure that you're adding more value. Yeah. That's just what it is.
Well, imagine you are the younger Jeff Wasuji, future entrepreneur, and you're entering in the market. It's 2026. You're entering into the market where things are rapidly changing, right? The chatbot just took your job, or you on the horizon, you see your job just being a casualty, right? Yep. What will you say to that young man that's losing, is going to lose something that pretty much defines his identity, right? That job. What would you say to him?
I actually did a post about this the other day, talking about, the need to be willing to be an apprentice, right? Work under that, always be a sponge. I've been learning how to leverage AI, because at the end of the day, there's still a whole generation of boomers and folks that are not going to be willing to learn all this stuff, right? And so the easiest thing right now is to learn it. Learn what's changing the world, right? You can't be 1995, you're not learning the internet, right? You have to learn the skills that are needed, right? You can code now without knowing how to code, but learn how to code the best practices with AI, the best prompts. Understand how you can own the entire task leveraging AI, right? Also, now's the best time to start a business because you can literally start a business just teaching people AI. You can literally start a business just teaching businesses how to learn AI, or just how to implement it within these corporations, because these corporations move slow. Yeah. Right. And so a lot of them are trying to figure this thing out, and you're going to move quicker. I tell young people that you're the smartest, youngest, best version of humanity, right? Because you know more about things that the older generation just doesn't know about.
Intuitively.
I own a bar for one reason. So I could be around young people and soak in culture, right? At the end of the day, I want to learn how to, that might not sound right with everything going on right now, but to be around, to literally be around young people and be able to learn how does music out right now? Yeah. What are the kids listening to? What are they dancing to?
How do they interact?
What are they drinking, right? What are they sipping on? What is a good experience like for them? When I'm in a club now, nobody's dancing with each other. When I was back in the club, we were juking on each other, as we call it in Chicago. And now it's like
always touchy feely.
Yeah,
Everybody was
always.
dancing and dancing with each other and touching.
I'm in the club with a button up on and some hard toes, and I'm over here dressed my best cologne to try to impress this chick. Trying to get as many numbers as possible.
As possible, yeah.
Nowadays, folks just want to vibe to good music in their own little
but
circles,
non-alcoholic,
right?
beer.
And not drinking as much. They'll pop some bottles still, but not as much as they used to. But they want to vibe, and they want to be able to create social content while in the club. Yeah. They want to be able to kick with their friends and get some TikToks going. They want to be able to interact with the DJ, hear their favorite song, and play a song from TikTok, you know? And you know what I'm saying? It's going viral, and it's just different. Like, it's no longer a fashion show like it used to be. People are dressing down in the club. And so it's just, for me, it's like, okay, this is what people want. I'm learning about consumer behavior. That's the reason why I own the bar. Plus, I own my best friends, but it allows me to take that back and then pour that into my business, which is focused on experiences to provide a better experience.
Yeah. The great Naval Ravikant said, you know who's not worried about AI taking over? Entrepreneurs.
100%. No, we love it. We embracing it. All right, you got to embrace it. You got to embrace the change. And the fact is, when you hire people, you want A players.
Yeah.
The B and C players are going to be worried. The people who aren't willing to adapt are going to be worried, right? I mean, I'm staying up late at night trying to understand, how to code on Replit. I'm saying how to leverage Mid-Journey. I'm not a technical person at all. But I have to figure out how to use these resources because it's going to save me money and it's going to allow me to get to move faster.
Yeah. That's a great point that you brought up too, is that AI is coming, but guess what everybody's doing? Most people are working. Like no one has time. AI is here. Yep. No one has time to really look up how to utilize any of these AI systems to their full potential. That's what the opportunity is.
Huge opportunity, especially for anybody that's, a little bit older and seasoned and still has some type of leverage within the organization, right? Yeah. You could be that expert for your peers, right? You could be the one to introduce these things and keep your job, because those folks who are losing them. Yeah. And you find those folks who are, seasoned and used to having a lot of people working under them. Right now, it's all about maximum productivity. Your job's no longer trying to hit it. Hey, I need this, and this to get done. That AI chatbot or that AI product will do everything that you just said to do. We're not hiring an agency. You do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there's higher responsibility, there's higher productivity expected from every person.
Totally.
And then you got your offshore folks, right, that are going to outwork you too. So
yeah,
it's a lot of pressure.
Even when you talk about manufacturing and production, right? You hear, oh, this industry is coming back to the U.S. Manufacturing is coming back to the U.S. Yeah, but it'll be machines doing that work. Yeah. This is not the 1950s and 60s, Detroit boom, where you can go and have a high school diploma, go work at Ford, go work at the steel mill, and have a life where you have 5 kids.
Yeah, no, we ain't trying to work at the steel
mill. We're not boomers.
No, yeah, I mean, most of us are not trying to work at the steel mill. I forgot what committee was laughing about, folks ain't trying to put together Nike, They ain't trying to put Nikes together, and that's not what we're trying to do. A lot of folks are not trying to do that. So
nobody's trying to work. And that's interesting you say that too, right? Because even if those jobs were available, then they pay well, do you think a lot of people would do them in the States?
Man, I don't think so.
Okay, when I say pay well, a little bit more than what they pay in Vietnam.
I think a lot of jobs that'll do it, they get rid of folks that are working them jobs. So I mean, it's interesting right now because there's this shift in the workplace where, okay, we want the people that are doing the jobs that nobody really wants.
Yeah,
a lot of them are they're trying to get out of here, but these ain't the jobs that we want, man.
Yeah.
And we're probably not gonna do them as efficiently or as well as other folks who will rely on this for their well-being every day are doing it. And so I'm of a mixed opinion. The fact that I do agree in bringing more jobs and employing people within our community, but certain jobs that should stay there.
Yeah. Yeah. How has your risk tolerance changed in the face of artificial intelligence?
Man, well, when you know that there's a way to learn a system or learn a software that can literally do the work of 10 people, each hire in your organization is critical to your success. It can make or break you. So I'm much more now, especially after running a business for a few years, I'm much more critical about who I bring into the organization. And my goal now is I at least try to talk to 2 to 3 people that have worked with them before, because if that person's not willing to be innovative, if they're not curious, if they're not willing to embrace the technology that's happening right now to do their job better, they're not going to work out. In this time where you have to be productive as possible in this time where people are, they're not spending as much. You have to be curious, you have to be innovative, you have to be creative, you have to be able to be versatile. And so it almost takes somebody that's a dynamic A player to have a job nowadays. You know what I'm saying? We know millions of jobs are being lost. You know what I'm saying? Like and so for me, I've changed it in the sense that I'm just very particular. I would rather hire another AI product than hire a person that may or may not be, I learned for 6 months that they're lazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or they're just not willing to adapt. So, every investment now from a human capital perspective, I take with just more careful about.
Well, typically we would have a department. Say in a company, you have certain departments. Each department is responsible for X thing, marketing, what have you, right? And then that department was obviously made of multiple people. Whereas this shift that we're seeing, artificial intelligence services have taken away all of those people in that department. So you have one person in that department that's managing all those different roles with the help of AI, right? So if that person isn't curious or even somewhat tech savvy, it's not going to work out.
Or hard
because
working.
because the cost is going to be higher because the amount of work still needs to get done.
Yep.
But they're not utilizing the tool to do the work of what that department was capable of.
Yep. And they're not getting it done, so you got to hire somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
And so, I've scaled 3 different businesses to 7 figures in revenue, and one of them I scaled with just 2 full-time employees, right? And that actually is the most profitable business, right? And so I realized that it's not about how many people you have; it's about the quality of people that you have, and it's also about the systems that you have and the ability to focus. And so I think that I'd rather 10 lions than 100 sheep. And that mentality is now where you have to be if you're running an organization, because less is more, and all this overhead is not necessary if you're leveraging AI and leveraging the resources that are out there.
Yeah, the great Alexander, he once said, I'm more afraid of 100 lions, so 100 sheep led by a lion than I am 100 lions led by a sheep.
It's real.
It's real.
Yeah. Like
Real.
leadership is important.
Leadership is just so important. If you're a leader, you can push the button.
Yeah. And as a leader, I've had to hire an executive coach. I've realized that as a leader, I had to get stronger every single day and work on myself. And one of the things that we talk about is just that, look, simply managing expectations with people is a whole job.
Yeah.
Right? You can't do 10 people's jobs. So you got to make sure the expectations are as clear as possible what their role is. And then for A players, you got to wait out to do their thing. For B players, you're going to need some coaching. And C players, there's not too much you can do. Right?
C players, I mean, what are they doing?
Yeah.
What are they doing? What is a C player
Getting let
doing
go.
in an
They're in
organization?
between
They're getting let go.
In between jobs.
Because we find out they're a C player. C
In between
player is
jobs.
not making it.
They're in between jobs, and it's unfortunate. My goal is that some people got C's in class. Those are some of the best entrepreneurs. But if you're a C player, it's probably because you're not willing to put forth the effort. And those are the folks that are in between jobs right now. And I'm hoping that they figure out what they want to do, or they start something so they can, that they can scale. But A players, and I forgot who said this, but A players will push out the B's and C players when you're in the right organization.
Oh yeah.
And I've seen that. I've seen that when you have, high performing individuals that are embraced and are versatile, they don't want to work with people that can't get to it.
Oh, they hate them.
Yeah. And so
They hate them.
iron sharpens iron, and I'm a big fan of that. And so my thing is now is less is more. And if somebody's not intellectually curious, then ChatGPT is probably going to work harder than them. Unfortunately. And everybody wants to go. I tell my team, I want to be challenged. I want people around me going to challenge me. And so that's what I think the job of every CEO is to, do what they can to get that high level talent, without paying the luxury tax. But the luxury tax is worth it, as you see with sports teams. You got to pay people more. You just try to find the right people.
I've become so much more conscious of that, of like my team. Yeah. And, bootstrapping this podcast has been quite the adventure because it's different, right? It's technology involved, it's editing involved, so many components to a production, right? And if you don't have a background in videography, photography. These are all like foreign, strange concepts.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's fun, right?
Yeah.
But one thing I've learned, I mean, God, you need people on the same page about your vision.
Yeah.
And just don't settle for people that aren't.
Man, I had talked about this the other day on my Instagram. I was like, man, there's people, of course, that are there for a paycheck, and there's people there for a purpose. You got to identify those people quickly, right?
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes you'll have somebody there for a paycheck temporarily. There's a lot of people that may not make it to the mountaintop with you, but they were there for the part of the journey, and they're there for a season. Like I said, some people are there for a reason, some people are there for a season.
Totally.
I've learned as a leader to embrace those people who are there for a season and wish them the best, and then move forward the people there for a reason. And you know, nowadays it's not hard to match. You can tell who's here for a check and who's here for a purpose. And it's okay to want the check, right? As long as you're willing to add enough value to make it make sense, right? As long as you're doing what you need to do. Some people got another 2 or 3 side hustles.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. I've been in a place where I've ran 2 or 3 companies at a time because I've had to. But one thing that I try to do is just make sure that if I sign up for something, I show up and I achieve as I'm expected to. And that's what I think C players don't necessarily do. That unfortunately gets them let go.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen to them in the future. Like, are they gonna be on the street?
Hopefully they're gonna find a rich uncle or a sugar daddy or a sugar mama or something like that. You know, they figure it out.
I mean, OnlyFans, you know, it's not for everybody.
Hey, become a creator, man. People make a lot of money on Instagram. Like, again, people might be a C player in a certain industry and they switch out, and man, you might be in sales.
Find that calling.
Might be in sales, but you should be in creative marketing, or you might be the best graphic designer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think some people everybody's a C player. It's something that they're not passionate about, right?
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Again, that's another great thing about America. C player in another country, you on the streets.
Yeah, 100%.
C player in Nigeria,
100%.
Good luck, my friend.
I got cousins that's electrical engineers at home that want to get here, and they willing to work hard. So it's a lot of people willing to work hard.
It's a lot of people that are willing to replace you.
They won't have the
That's for
opportunity.
sure.
Yeah, they don't have the opportunity. So, you know, I think, the C players take care of the C players.
Totally. You have so much going on, right? You also have a family. How do you balance it all? How do you keep your purpose in this world that's dynamic? You're interacting as a boss, as a leader, and fields that are highly affected by AI, right? Highly affected by technology. But you still need to spend time with your family. Like, how do you balance all of this?
Man, it's the most difficult thing I think that you could ever try to do is try to figure out balance. The reality is there is no balance for me, but I figured out a formula. I'm still figuring out for how to, rest aggressively when I need to, because the reality is nothing prepares you for fatherhood, being a husband, being a leader, fundraising, managing people, trying to scale and double revenue every year for multiple years as a company. Nothing prepares you for the pressure and the toll that takes on your body and your mental. And so for me, I do things to be able to rest aggressively and reset regularly. Some of those things I've implemented, of course, church on Sundays when I can, as much as I can.
Spiritual aspect.
Yeah, definitely spiritual. You know what I'm saying? So for me, making sure that whatever spiritual, religions you follow, you tap into like your soul, you know what I'm saying, and check yourself, right? Because hopefully also keep a good group of friends. You know what I'm saying? A good group of men or women that will check you, will check up on you, right? That you can check in on. For me, I'm looking for a therapist, but for me, I haven't been to therapy just yet, but talking to my close friends is like therapy for me. When we get together with the guys, we've gotten together, grab brunch and just chopped it up and with the fellas, and when we catch up, it's therapy for me.
Yeah.
So for me, that allows me to go back and pour back into my family. So do what you need to do to get what you need to be able to give your family your best. For me, that looks like hiring the best people that I can, learning how to delegate, also being okay with not accomplishing everything I need to accomplish in a month. Last year, literally, my body broke down for like 2 weeks because I was pushing so hard and neglecting my health. And it's like, at the end of the day, while balance is very hard to achieve, you still got to prioritize what things are going on in your life, and the health has to come first. So definitely prioritizing the health by eating, not eating junk as much as you can, right? Eating whole foods and not a lot of processed foods, that can take you down, and detoxing. For me, it's saunas, ionic foot baths, you know what I'm saying? that type of stuff literally has helped me de-stress from a lot of toxins in the body. But also, yeah, definitely having a strong partner too, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Reminding your partner that you guys are aligned, even if you're not always in agreement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't believe there's any balance. For me, it's really about learning to talk to my friends about how I have a group of older men, frat brothers, mentors. I always ask them, man, so what's up, man? How do you balance this thing?
Yeah.
when I get around older men, I'm talking, how y'all dealing with this? And you got to have those rooms where you can go in and say, like, look, this is how we deal with taking better care of our women. This is how we deal with better taking care of our family. This is how you deal with raising your kids. You know what I'm saying? Any new challenges. This is how you deal with managing people, right? And there's so much game that you soak up by just talking to people. And that's why human interactivity and action and interaction is just so important.
I did hear you mention executive coaching.
Yeah. I think it's super important.
How did you get into that? Because it's difficult to figure out, like, what coach. I mean, it's a low barrier to entry.
For me, thankfully, man, I've had a number of advisors for a while, and one of my investors and advisory board members actually became my executive coach. He kind of offered to say, okay, look, you started making a little money in your business now. You ain't like you was a couple of years ago where you're not making anything. So let me know what you think about this. I'm helping a couple of CEOs do this, and it worked out. And so I got two main advisors that really support me, and one is Jason Weingarten and Gary Cooper. Two amazing CEOs in Chicago who've raised tens of millions of dollars, ran businesses. And for me, the sessions I have with them are just amazing. And because at the end of the day, I had to go from learning how to hustle to build a business, right? And scale to businesses to seven figures, to learning, which I'm learning now, is how do you put in systems and delegate and help people who might not necessarily understand or know your vision perform to your liking, right?
Yeah.
How do you go from this is my baby, I take it seriously, this is life or death for me, my best friends and my brothers have invested, to this is just a job to you, but I want you to see the vision and perform as best as you can, right? And being able to be okay with knowing that people aren't gonna do things the way you would like them done. Yeah. But you still have to make progress.
That articulation is like threading a needle when you're trying to share your vision. Relax some of that cradling of the baby, of your baby.
Everyday challenge, man.
And just, you're just trying to, okay, I'm trying to pass this to you. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to get there.
Founder syndrome is real. When you start a business, it's like, it's almost like people calling your baby ugly, right? And you got to be okay with it.
You take a lot of things personal, don't you?
When you're raising capital, for instance, or when you're talking to customers, they call your baby ugly. You got to be okay with that. You got to be willing to put some makeup on your baby. You know what I'm saying? Make sure your baby's getting the facials, right? And so I learned how to not take it personal when people didn't do a really, really good job working with me and not like have a high standard. I understand. Now, people, if you're working for me, I'm going to ask you to have a high standard, but I learned that, okay, they're not going to perform to the high standard that I would, right? They're not going to take it as seriously as I would. And I learned to be okay with that, but manage expectations and still hold people accountable. Because you can get upset if somebody turns you some trash and you pay them, and you're like, man, I mean, I know this is just a check to you, but this is my livelihood. I took out a loan for this business.
Every cent counts.
I'm not spending time with my son because I'm running this business. So when they see it as a quick come up, you almost look at it like, man, are you soliciting me and trying to take advantage of me, right? And so as a founder, you can get all types of, right? Then you get no's from investors. You can literally, go through trauma associated with building a business, right? And so the more reps you get, the more people you talk to, you realize everybody's going through the same thing. We all trying to figure it out. We're all trying to leverage resources and figure out how to raise capital, how to figure out who not to fire, firing some people that you love, right? You know what I'm saying? And that you bond with, because it's like, man, the runway is the runway, right? You're not the best person for this role. This role is not what we need right now in our business. And having to do that and still maintain, your homeostasis is difficult, but it's the thing about entrepreneurship that makes the people great, that are able to sustain and survive.
Just thinking about what we were just discussing, right? You're on this road to entrepreneurship. You're on this road to greatness. How should one expect their friend group relationship and even family relationships to change.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the toughest things about entrepreneurship is that it can be a really lonely journey, and sometimes you have to lock in the focus. And what I try to do with my friends, and obviously going through the same thing because we're also balancing families, is let them know, look, I'm at a point in my life where I'm just really focused on the business and the journey and growth, and personal development, family, parents getting older, right? You have to figure out a time where you prioritize your family and your legacy. And you almost have to remind your friends of that. And, the good friends will understand that. The real good friends that are solid will understand that. Some people take offense. But for me, it's about that transparency. I had to tell somebody, mind you, I'm a SMS king since 2009, 2006. I've been sending text messages out to people through my community for experiences, other things, right? Yeah. But I had to tell somebody last week, hey, please take me off this text list, right? It's not necessarily adding value to my life right now, and I'm just really locked in and focused, right? And I had to send a long message because his response was not one in which I felt like was warranted because we didn't have that relationship. But my whole thing is now clarity. Like, look, hey, I'm at a point in my life where I needed focus. I know for me, focus has been an issue, right? But that's going to get me where I need to be. And so I let them know, look, it's nothing against you. This is me personally choosing me and my peace. You know what I'm saying? And my friends respect that. And if you don't respect that, we can't be friends, right? And so I look at my friendships and value them a lot more because I can not talk to my friends for a whole year and we sit down and have a conversation like we've been together for every day, right? Those are the relationships I value. For me, it's friends that'll hold you accountable and still hit you out the blue like, hey, what's up? You working out? You been taking care of yourself? Cool, I bet. Talk to you in 3 months. Because I'm not gonna be able to sit down with you every day because I got to choose whether I'm gonna go see my son and tuck him in or I'm gonna go have a drink with you, right? You know what I'm saying? And then there's a time where, hey, I got to get away from my family. I got to have a drink, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shout out to Pronghorn if you're sipping. You know what I'm saying? Grab drink when they spirits. But, for me, there's an opportunity to have therapy with my friends. Might be a quick phone call. Might be a quick text exchange, right? There's also an opportunity to lose yourself in your business and in your legacy, in your journey. And lose yourself in your family and shut the phone off. And oftentimes you can't control when those times are because you have to respond to the needs of the people that you love and what your business needs. So the best friends understand that, they appreciate it, and they'll check in with you and they know you'll come back and when you're ready to talk.
Yeah. Boundaries, growth. I love it. What's the one myth about entrepreneurship that you wish would die?
That is a get rich quick scheme. Like that you can have, quick results. Start a business 1 year, next year you do $1 million. If you got some funding and you got really good ideas, happening right. Some startups are going crazy like that. But 9 times out of 10, most small businesses are one person shops, right? It's the hardest thing in the world to do, to build a business, have an idea and then monetize it. It's hard to have an idea and turn it into something, let alone turn it into something that people will pay for, then turn to something that's profitable. So just the understanding that you do not have to dive all in and you can just like throw something at the wall and hope it sticks. Entrepreneurship really requires you diving all in. It requires you having a unique competitive advantage in a lot of cases, right? Or being a first mover in the market. It really requires you thinking about what the hell you're gonna do. I know what happens sometimes, but most people are not switching over to a new industry and just winning because they try to start something, right? I've had to work for somebody for 8 years and watch him run a business in order for me to come in to start a business and have it be monetizable. So just the fact that it is such an undertaking and you may not make money, you may not be profitable, but it can literally drain you.
Yeah.
Right? And so unless you are delusional about your success and able to pivot quickly, you're setting yourself up for a lifestyle that isn't ideal. You know what I'm saying? You can go get a cushy job and make a lot of money and earn your way to millions and reinvest your 401k, IRAs, you know what I'm saying? But if you want to change the world or build a solution that's going to impact the world and you feel like that's your purpose, I think that's when you start a business. All right. So I think that, that's something. It's not a get rich quick scheme, and it's going to require way more than you expect and take way longer than you expect. And you gotta be a little crazy.
You gotta be a little nuts.
Because you fighting every day.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Spiritual warfare.
100%.
Spiritual warfare. You gotta be all in, because nobody's gonna push you. Nobody's gonna make sure. Nobody's gonna call you and ask you why you didn't show up.
Nope.
It's all your job now.
Nope. Nobody's gonna pay your bills.
Nobody's gonna pay your bills.
Nobody's gonna cover payroll.
Man, payroll.
Nobody's gonna cover payroll. Nobody's gonna tell your ass get up and make 100 calls today. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. That was always for me. Payroll was what made a business real to me.
Oh, 100%.
Because it's one thing when you're running a shop and you're like, oh, man, I ain't get reimbursed just yet. It's coming. It's late. Okay, I'll get that check then. It's another thing when you have to pay your people.
100%.
That's another thing.
Yep. 100%.
That's when you feel the gravity of what you're doing, and that somebody else is, not just them as an individual, but their whole family is dependent upon you.
Yep.
It's a wow.
No pressure.
No pressure. Don't mess this up.
100%.
What's the boldest risk that you took that actually worked?
Ooh, good question. Good question. The boldest risk that I took. Man, you know, for me, I would say it was betting on myself with just an idea, right? Event War was just an idea. We didn't think it was going to turn into a real business. We were just like, hey, let's start on a ticketing platform. We tired of these guys, raping us and taking all of our money, right? We're tired of these guys, a part of our language, but tired of these guys just really just not giving a damn about us, who we are, our community, our culture, and just collecting all these service fees, making 6 figures of us every year, never even calling to say thank you, right? We just like, let's start on. And for us, it turned into something bigger than we could have ever imagined. And so for me, leaving my job, I had just got married, and just kind of leaving my job, took out a loan. You know what I'm saying? I was like, hey, let me take this loan out, and if, in a year or two, if it's not working out, I'll go ahead and jump back. But it was, nearly 6 figures to just kind of get my head started and just take that leap. I had a job making good money, but I felt like it was that time. And so for me, it was that the biggest, boldest move was starting a company that was simply just an idea that I didn't expect to make it to a full-time role, where I had zero technical expertise, zero experience actually building a startup, and just jumping all in. You know what I'm saying? And right before the pandemic happened, when events went to zero.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
either were worse off after the pandemic, or you fared very well.
Yeah.
Wasn't that much in between.
Nah, a lot in between. Or you went to jail. A lot of people did well, went to jail, yeah, too. But
PPP.
know what I'm saying? So, it's tough, man, and I hate to see that, but it's a reality. Yeah, a lot of people did well, a lot of people didn't. A lot of people lost their lives, and a lot of people, unfortunately,
Not here.
went to jail. Yeah, but you battle tested. It was definitely a battle testing time.
Yeah, it is battle tested.
Yeah.
And you often need that testing in order to prove your iron, but it makes you better.
100%.
Bad things happen to good people. And when they happen to you as a founder, as an entrepreneur, it's part of it. It'll make you stronger.
100%.
It'll make you better.
100%.
We also kind of taught to shy away from the pain, but the pain is what makes you good.
Man, you got to embrace the pain, man.
Yeah.
You got to embrace it. Build up your tolerance,
Build up your tolerance for it.
I'm saying?
You'll have a lot more risk tolerance the more you go through.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable. The pain of waking up every day and understand that you're not realizing your full potential, or just because you have limited resources, you can't do everything you need to do. Pain of wondering, having to let somebody go that you really care for, but having to let them go simply because the capital's not there to support them, right? So now being able to tuck your baby in because you grind, right? So, that's a part of the game with entrepreneurship people don't really talk a lot about, trying not to go off and explode on people, right? That you expect to support you, right? That you call your friends or that you call, family, and saying, oh, they're not gonna support me. And figuring out how you can still manage that relationship.
Yeah.
Right. Despite the fact that you're pouring your heart and soul into something.
Or sometimes it makes people fold as well. They don't feel like they're getting the support.
100%.
When in actuality, it's probably people that you don't know. It's the strangers, right? That are going to make customers. Yeah, that like the people that you know, like they can only buy so much of your service or product. It's the people that you don't know.
People you know don't know are gonna be your best customers. You know what I'm saying?
But we put a lot into. That's another thing too. Is oftentimes it's just easy just to put a lot into other people and putting the weight of your success on their shoulders. When in reality, that's just that's an emotional attachment that you need to work out.
Nobody owes
Because in
you
reality, they can't really help you as much as you think they can anyway. You can only really help yourself.
Nobody owes you anything either. Like you can't have a sense of entitlement. Nobody owes you their dollar. Nobody owes you their business. Right? You have to earn that. All right. And if you earn it, you have to earn it to keep it.
Yeah.
That's your responsibility every single day by providing a good experience and a good product. You know what I'm saying? And so you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some. But once you realize just how it's 2-3 billion people in the world, and there's opportunities for you to be able to win by talking to your core.
Yeah.
Which is probably not people that you know. You can start winning.
Yeah. What's a daily non-negotiable habit for you as a founder?
For me to leave the day empty, knowing I've performed and left it on the court. Right. I've done my best to achieve my greatest usefulness for the day. If I go to sleep knowing that I didn't do everything I could, right, and didn't exert myself to the fullest, even if that's resting aggressively, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a problem for me. Did I do everything I could to have a positive impact on the world today? Was I slacking? I know that if I'm watching TV, it's because I'm having 2 hours to reset and rest. But I'm working most of the time. And so for me, it's just give 100%, try your best. I'm saying, did I do everything I could with the energy that I had? And then I check on my loved ones. For me, I got to make sure that I sleep at night knowing that I don't steal, I have integrity, I don't lie, I don't cheat. When it comes to business, I focus on adding value and trying to do so without getting my emotions involved. The only emotions I have in business are the ones that allow me to progress on my journey and move the ball forward. And so for me, it's like, as long as I can be in my bag in terms of being focused and not be in my feelings about petty stuff, and try to do good while making money, I'm living my purpose.
Yeah.
Living my purpose.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you had to rebuild everything that you've worked for from zero today, what would be your first move?
First move would be getting a good partner. You go further with the right people. So I just get a good partner, man. I think you could build anything. If you could build with a team, you build faster. So if I lost everything, I just get a good partner, man. Probably a good person that really understands technology well. Right?
Good team. Get a good team around you.
A good team with you. You know what I'm saying? Like the team gonna lift you up when you're down. The team gonna build with you. Move faster. So I find some really dope people to build some dope shit with.
That's the talent, right? Things really come down to talent, right? Like getting the best talent that you possibly can put your hands on to then work forward and move towards something with them.
100%.
Yeah, that's dope. What's the biggest lesson fatherhood has taught you about leadership?
Fatherhood has taught me that when you're dealing with people, patience is one of the most important things you can have. I've been somebody that's, I talk fast, I move fast, I'm very impatient. But the best experience in life require you to take a moment and slow down. And so the joy of holding my son at the end of the day, the joy of taking him to a play jam or a museum and experiencing that first experience like that with him, those are priceless moments. And I've had to learn to be patient, turn the phone off, step away from business, because those moments are things that can't be replaced. That's what life is about. So for me, it's really patience. And again, understand that when you have a partner, you're not always going to be in agreement, but it's important that y'all remember that make sure you guys are in alignment. All right, you guys are playing for the same team. So same thing with the organization, right? You're not going to agree with your coworkers. I tell my people to challenge me. Let's argue. You know what I'm saying? My best partners, we argue all day.
Yeah.
But the product ends up being a result of us hashing things out and making sure we're providing the best move and best product for our people. So for me, definitely making sure you're in alignment.
Yeah. What's a mistake that you've made that ended up turning or becoming your greatest teacher?
Building a product before talking to the consumer on a really deep level, right? We call it jobs to be done. When you understand what product your job is doing for your consumer. We really underestimate the amount of research that's needed before you launch a product or service or business. And it's so important you sit down and talk to the people that you're looking to serve and understand the psychographics, the demographics of what they really need. Because you might build a solution for a problem that doesn't exist. You might build a solution for a problem that they don't really care about, right? And so when you're looking at how you win, 9 out of 10, if you build the best product, it's going to market itself for us, all right? So for me, it's really been about ensuring that any move I make in the future, I consult with my consumer.
Wow. Is it, we're going to wrap it up. Is it anything else that you want to get off your chest or anything you want to share with people as they're redefining who they are in the face of technology?
Yeah, 100%, man. If you're out there, definitely make sure that you pick up 5 different AI products that you can learn and master. If you're here still working, trying to win, whether you're a CEO, whether you're an employee, bring that back to your organization. Shout out to my brother, Obi. He recently became CEO of a company that we started together in a healthcare space. I'm just super proud of him. It's about to be a year anniversary.
Wow.
He's really taken over and taken pressure off of me and done an amazing job with the team. It's growing. And so shout out to MD Newsline. And then just announcing with Event Noir, we're getting ready to launch an amazing product called Noir IQ, and also the In-Crowd, our membership platform, which will have Event Noir Academy. So we're helping a lot of event organizers scale their business. And so that's something we're going to be announcing in the next couple of weeks. And by the time this comes out, it should be out.
Excellent.
But we're helping folks all over the country learn how to get sponsorships, learn how to sell out more tickets, learn how to scale, right? And we built this ecosystem of over 10,000 plus event organizers, and it's a thankless job. And we see you. We're true community builders, creators that are building communities and I want to monetize it. We're here to help you do that, and we're here to help you do that through Event Noir. So we're excited. Outside of that, man, just living life, baby. Trying to take things to the next level, loving, living, doing what I love.
Cool. So, where can we find you at?
Man,
online?
Follow me on Instagram, Jeff Rowe Suji. Also Event Noir IQ for Event Noir. Man, and just catch me outside, man. I'll be popping out sometimes.
Catch me outside. Thanks for coming over.
Hey, thanks for having me, brother.
Absolutely.
It's love.